following presentation that you're about to see from ABBYY is about introducing our intelligent classification technology and how it helps drive business process improvement. Specifically, we'll be focusing on the optimization of the mortgage loan process of a large international bank. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. A quick introduction to ABBYY themselves, for those of you not too familiar. ABBYY develops technologies to transform information into useful knowledge. And we do this by acquiring data, recognizing and understanding documents, classifying that information, processing documents and their data, and enabling information search. So ABBYY is a technology innovator, and our mission is to help businesses around the globe operate quicker and smarter through the use of artificial intelligence technologies that think and act in a human-like manner. As such, we focus on three key technology domains: intelligent document recognition, transactional data processing, and natural language processing, which is the study of linguistics. And these combine to offer a range of powerful tools to help streamline resource-intensive tasks. ABBYY's strong R&D function represents 40% of the workforce, which is 400 employees out of 1,000, so it's a significant amount. And as such, we continue to drive forward with new groundbreaking technologies in understanding information, extracting the real value in accordance with the task at hand. So, just summing up then, ABBYY were founded in 1989, more than 1,000 employees to date. As mentioned, 400 developers and scientists, and we've got an established partner network across the globe in over 150 countries. We develop and market our portfolio on a worldwide scale, and we also have a growing professional services team who enable solution selling. They provide consultancy services, support, and large-scale project management. So as you can see on the globe there, we're jotted around with various offices headquartered in Russia. So what do we do? Well, we help optimize back-office business processes, normally dealing with high-volume documents, if not processing thousands, potentially millions of documents on a weekly basis. The key challenges involved with paper. The data is not tangible, it's very resource-intensive, and manual data entry basically means that a lot of errors get entered into systems, and of course downstream that causes a knock-on effect. How we can help is we eliminate a lot of the manual tasks by enabling automation of value-adding activities, and we provide faster access to information and faster response times. So on to the case study that I mentioned earlier. This is talking about how automated records classification adds a competitive advantage to the mortgage firm's offering. Unfortunately, the client has to remain unnamed because we have a strict non-disclosure agreement in place. They want to keep their identity under wraps simply because it offers the competitive advantage, and they're not keen on promoting this to market. So the customer itself, you can talk around, one of the largest providers of mortgages and insurance policies across the globe. They sell and market this under different brand names. The reason for this is that they're striving for differentiation, and they're trying to find something different through different branding and essentially marketing. But they're always looking to improvements into their core services offering, and this is where ABBYY comes in with its technology play. So their key challenge then was in dealing with a high volume, a number of mortgage applications on a daily basis. This amounted to around 3,500 documents, which totaled around 25,000 pages. They had a strict SLA in place for a quick turnaround and same-day processing, and they were struggling to achieve this and were under constant pressures day in, day out. So specifically, and driving into the business process itself, they had issues with quickly determining the class of documents, i.e. be it a passport, a bank statement, or a birth certificate, and its onward destination. They then had to check the completeness of the application itself, so the presence of the relevant documents, and also whether the content had been filled out correctly. This gave them more time delays. And then finally, they had to upload the document set to the back-end administration system, filing each document by class and per customer ID file. The delays in this process meant that the actual onward approval of the mortgage itself, i.e. the credit checking, stopped. So that means the initiating closing process also is delayed. This impacts their customer service offering. So driving into the business process in a bit more detail, but without going into too much effect, I don't know who's perhaps in banking here, but the key takeaway from this slide is that any improvement in the early phase of the business process has a knock-on effect downstream. And metaphorically speaking, this can be likened to a domino effect where there's a chain of reactions that occur in a linear sequence. So what we're doing here is that the quicker you classify documents from the outset, the quicker you initiate the onward process. The end result is a more agile operation and ultimately a more satisfied customer. So the project currently went live January earlier this year, and it was a year in the making. We're currently just only doing the first part of this business process, but we're still talking with the customer, and they're keen to continue driving into the process and adding more value through other technologies that we have available to us. So we'll start automating further steps in their process. So just discussing the actual solution in a bit more detail, technically, going back to the key challenges, we mapped those to automated steps. So we started with our key automated classification technology. And this is the ability to read the documents, understand their type or class, and then point them in the right direction. Also, within that process, hence, if you understand the document, you can name it and you can send it accordingly. The next step is about actually individual treatment of the different document types. So a passport may need to go to one part of the bank, but the birth certificate may need to go to another. And you have different workflow requirements and perhaps saving them in different formats and different compliance requirements for each different document type. We can all add that into the process. The next step is more of an exceptions queue, which flags any discrepancies, or indeed actually highlights where some missing information hasn't been found or has been entered incorrectly. So we'll queue that manually for an operator to actually deal with that and pass it through accordingly. And finally, it's about the transfer of the document and the data to the onward business application system. And what we did here was we developed actually a signal release which told the system when all the documents had been entered and were ready for the approval phase. Before, this was a manual process, and the clerks had to keep checking the system to see when all the documents had been uploaded. So just discussing and touching upon the key benefits of this system then, a set of 3 integrated benefits really, starting with a faster overall approval process, which in turn ensured a more agile and efficient operation. Because of this, it meant that the customer, the bank themselves, could process the application in days as opposed to weeks. So yeah, this in its very self enabled them a competitive advantage. And in turn then, the customers received a quicker response time, which positively increased their overall customer experience. So just attempting to sum up here about auto classification and the business impact. There's a line here, understanding content, so you don't have to. What this means is that you can have several different business measurements attached to this type of technology, and they could be different depending on different organizations. In short then, just going through them, it's the ability to select what is valuable to an organization, coming in huge streams of information, and what is not. So rejecting spam effectively. So you can actually get rid of 30% before it actually comes into your organization and just deal with the business critical documents. The ability then to actually make use of the information that you've identified as valuable and then start driving into the process and understanding the content. Because you can do that, that means you can start applying corporate controls and onward workflows as well. And what does this mean? Well, it means that, yeah, you're going to increase the throughput of your processing, and by way of doing that, you're going to save a huge amount of cost, especially in labor and efficiency gains. Okay, so this type of technology, then auto classification, closely married to transactional data processing. Where does this fit in the overall enterprise content management arena? Well, it can be viewed as more of an intermediary system between source data, paper, email, fax, PDFs, and actually transferring the relevant data into the Onward business systems and publishing them by field items or indeed just by document type. So what we have the ability to do is read any type of documents, whether that information is changeable on the page or not. So it might be just a fixed form. We know where the information is. That's pretty easy to do. But also consider it a contract where it has actually contextual information in there, or indeed a customer complaint. We can potentially flag that and route it to its onward destination. And on the back end, as I mentioned before, when you can start identifying what the actual document is and its type, you can then start saving it by corporate policy controls. So it might be just in a core long-term archiving format, we save a certain document type to PDF-A. So in conclusion then, to manage any form of content, you first must capture it. However, the real value is not actually in the image creation or indeed scanning or digitization, but actually in the ability to unlock that content, understand it intelligently in order to drive the onward business process. And that itself provides huge efficiency gains. So that actually concludes the presentation for today. I'd like to just open the floor if there are any questions specifically on ABBYY or the case study at hand. If there's not, you can come and talk to me one-to-one afterwards, and I'm happy to discuss things in a bit more detail. Any questions? Okay, feel free to come and talk to me individually, and we'll discuss things in a bit more detail. Thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of the day.